Bill Henshaw here in the local constitutional kook out here in California. And the subject matter for this video is elections or the lack thereof. And you should get used to that because there are no lawful elections anywhere in sight. And that's the backbone of today's democracy, better known as three bulls and two sheep voting on what's for dinner. And it's good news for all of us. The elections as such, I mean, they're simply not there. And I can prove off the top of my head there hasn't been a lawful election since November the 6th, 1860. What does that say about consent of the governed? Nowhere in sight. And the reason for it is the basic reason, there's more than one, but the 14th Amendment, that not only wasn't ratified, it's never been in full force and effect, having been contemporaneously ruled unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. And wouldn't you know, the current justices today know everything I've just said. Because what happened with that amendment, among other things, what I call NEFL, the non-existent 14th War Amendment, is that Congress created new states. And you can't do that. Article 4, Section 3, Congress shall have power to admit new states, not create them. Even worse, it was carefully concealed from everybody who ratified the amendment that they were creating subordinate corporate citizenship for these quote-unquote states. And that's why today when they see state either with a capital S or more commonly these days, capital letters, the state of confusion, or California, where I am, also all in capital letters, that's a corporate state to which we are not subject. Can't be. We're the original state citizens here. And yes, that's a white supremacist argument. 3 white male and 21, that's the original body politic. For good or bad or right or wrong. But we've gotten rid of by the 14th Amendment, and nobody who ratified that amendment had a clue what was really happening. And that means, guess what? No consent of the governed anywhere in sight. Now, the real good news for us is that the framers were smart enough in Article 5 to put in there the way that maybe this could be done, but it wasn't, because, the normal, quote-unquote, ratification of amendments just requires the legislatures of the states. Not here, it doesn't. If you're going to change the sovereign body politic, or what really happened here with this amendment was destroy it and made everybody equal, by the way, not by elevating the freedmen to the status of state citizens, which couldn't have been done, but by reducing us to theirs. Now, instead of principal and agent, we have guardian and ward, better known as master and slave. But nobody knew it. But the only way that could have occurred, Article 5, say your blessing for those racist framers, is it would have had to have been ratified by people in conventions of the states. That's consent of the governed. Simple as that. Without it, you don't have it. They didn't have it. And with these corporate entities, by the way, they're dead creatures. And one way you beat the bastards, as you'll learn more, send me an email, by the way, uwinandcourt@gmail.com for information on my docket packets. And I'm also giving away courtesy with every request a stand-down letter to the sheriff. I've got separate ones, one for eviction, one for mortgages, one for CPA. And they're very similar, but for slightly different reasons. You have different issues arising in these areas. But I'll be glad to send you that. And the sheriff is supposed to be our friend. And they're supposed to know when these courts don't have jurisdiction, and they don't know. We have to get it into their head. They have to ask the governor, who has the sworn duty to see the laws are faithfully executed, to tell them what they have to do to determine the jurisdiction of the court, especially when, as a lot of you out there well know, you go in there and you have a black-robed bastard sitting behind the bench, and one of his state bar association attorneys opposing you. It's a dead deal. That's a slam dunk directed verdict of guilt. But then again, if you're in a court like that with any state bar association members, we're taking the position you're not in a judicial court. Every damn law they have in there is null and void as a bill of attainder, at least. And the current justices on the court know this also. So that's the big deal, no matter what it is, what setting you're in. If you don't get judicial process, bill of attainder, Article 1, Section 9 or 10, the case may be, of the U.S. Constitution. So a lot goes into this. And as you learn more, it'll take a little time, and I didn't get it right away. It took me actually quite a while, and I sat down one day and I said, God, this can't be right. And it was all there. And I got the perspective. That's the key word you need, not just good memory, but perspective to put things together. That's my job, to help you. Send me an email, by the way, uincourt@gmail.com. And with the acquisition of materials, you get complimentary phone consultations to help you along with that, and also complimentary returns on all emails that you send me with questions. Sometimes that is better for you, if you like to get it and read it, and you have it in hard copy where you can review it, and you can always make copies of our phone calls, recordings, I should say. And that's a good tool to have too. And if for some reason you get unhappy with what I do and how you do it, you can just send that recording over to the state attorney general and have them charge me with practicing law without a license and or being a domestic terrorist. Who knows these days? But yeah, you instinctively know how bad it is, and they're courts, and you're right. They're not courts, they're administrative tribunals. And that's what the Supreme Court in their 4th year of an all-out assault on the administrative state. An unprecedented window of opportunity for us. And the other side should be beginning to understand that now, that when we get together, especially if we get to the U.S. Supreme Court, we're rolling the loaded dice like we should be. Thanks to the efforts of those racist framers, quote unquote. You set up the best government ever created. No, it wasn't perfect. Best one ever created. We want to get back to it. We can make changes from there and do it the right way. Not that hard. But no elections. If you just think about the magnitude of the issues there, I mean, for anybody, it doesn't matter if it's for the garbage collector or, the city attorney or the president of the United States. None. And where I come from, I think we can prove that the last lawful election, November 6th, 1860. And that's because of the war between the states and Reconstruction and the war amendments. It took everything and turned it all upside down, and nobody had an idea that was happening except the New York banksters. And that's what we have to get rid of. My mission in life, and here I am, just recently turned 75. Life is still ahead of me because of that window we have with the U.S. Supreme Court. I think we can actually get a lot done here. Maybe not as much in this term as I would hope with the quote-unquote election upcoming. And think about that. There's no convenient time to tell the American people there's no elections now, is there? But after the one next year, and assuming Trump gets elected, and we can get some younger conservative justices on the court when Thomas and Alito retire, that's when it's going to start to happen, I think, seriously. Because now we're going to have that court for the next 12 or 15 years. So, boy, just a lot I've talked about here, and I know it's a bit above your heads, but you'll understand it instinctively when you start studying. And like I didn't get it first either, but it all makes sense, and especially with the court that we have now. So it's really exciting stuff, and I can help you either to get your case into a federal circuit court, and you'll learn more about that later. That's a judicial court, or to take care of business in the state court, quote unquote. So, it is what it is with that, but it's what I do and what I was put here to do. And I hope I get to see the job you completed. I don't know at my age, but if I can leave it for younger people like you behind me to finish up. Because once you get started on this, it's going to happen, I think, in a hurry. And we'll get back to what we should have, a federated Republican form of government of defined and limited powers, not an elective despotism. So that says, send me an email, you win in court, and I'll get you a complimentary copy of my stand down letter to the sheriff and information on my materials. And remember to subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The quicker we take action, especially now, the quicker we can make things better for ourselves, our families, and our posterity. Thank you.